Power BI course is divided into four modules. What are the four modules you have in Power BI is, first module is what? Power Query. Who will provide this data means company will provide this data. And first module we have is Power Query. That is the place where we will do ETL. The first work Power BI developer will do is ETL. That will be done in Power Query. Second step, Power BI developer will create a OLAP database. That will be created in where? Power Pivot. Third step Power BI developer will do is creating what? Reports. That will be created in where? Power View. Fifth step is we need to share that reports with the clients. To share that report with the clients, we'll do it in Power BI service, guys. So four modules: Power Query, Power Pivot, Power View, Power BI service. So like this, we have four modules in Power BI, right? Let's start up. Today, as I said, I'll start with Power Query. I'll start with what? Power Query. I'll just take one notepad, guys. I'm going to take one new notepad, and this notepad name I'm giving as 9 a.m. January month, and we are going to start with Power Query, right? Power Query, right? So I'll use the same notepad for all the Power Query classes. Around 2 weeks, we will work on same. Open. Now today's class is, so I said that Power BI course is divided into how many modules? Four modules. It is divided into four different modules. What are the four different modules you have is, the first module we have is Power Query. What you will do in this module? ETL. Second module we have is Power Pivot. What you will create here? OLAP. In Power BI terminology, we call it a semantic model. We call it as what? Semantic model. Third module, Power View, where you will create what? Reports. Last module, Power BI service, which is used to share reports with what? Clients. Share reports with clients. So like this, you will learn one by one. In Power Query, ETL, you will learn. In Power Pivot, how to create OLAP database, you will learn. In Power View, how to create reports, you will learn. In Power BI service, how to share them with the clients, you will learn. Now, as I said, we are going to start which module today? Power Query. Which one? Power Query. Next 2 weeks, we will be discussing about what? Power Query module. What is this Power Query? How to do the ETL in the Power Query we'll discuss. Today's class is class 1. Let me copy paste the agenda for class 1. I'm just going to copy paste the agenda for class 1. I'll discuss this class 1 now. What are the topics I'm planning to discuss in the class 1 is first, introduction to Power Query, and then we'll discuss about what? Power Query Editor, user interface, and then we'll discuss about data processing in Power Query, and finally we'll talk about what? Data types. So these are the 4 points we will discuss in today's class. Let's start. Fine. So first, open to discuss this, open Power Query, guys. First, to open Power Query, first you need to open what? Power BI Desktop. When I double click on it, it will open Power BI Desktop. So if first one you open, this is welcome screen. You need to click on what in the welcome screen? Blank report. Once you click on blank report, you need to go to, now you need to open Power BI Desktop, right? Now you need to go to Power Query. How to go to Power Query? Transform data. So in Power Query, first step is, I said that Power Query is used to do ETL, right? First step is extraction, right? Let's bring some tables. To bring the tables, you will use what? New source. Click on new source and bring some tables. Click on Excel. I'll bring some tables from sample superstore Excel. Click on open. Concentrate, guys. I selected 3 tables. Press OK. I'll bring some more tables from another Excel file into the same Power Query. I want to bring some more tables from another Excel file. Again, what? New source. Click on new source again. Click on what? Excel. This time from which Excel? EMP DEPT Excel. Click on open. Click on open. EMP table, DEPT table, and what? Managers table. Press OK. Now, into the same Power Query, I need to bring some more tables from SQL Server. From where? SQL Server. Again, what? New source. This time, what? SQL Server. We need to enter the server name and database name. We need to enter server name and database name. I'm just giving the server name. Press OK. When I press OK, it will open the server. It will show the list of databases. I'll bring the tables from a database called product database. Which database? Product database. I'll bring customers table, product table, and sales table. Press OK. Now, how many tables are there in the Power Query now? 9 tables. Once you, let's say I bought all the tables, what I required for reporting. I bought the required tables for reporting purpose. So once you bought the tables, what is the second step? Transform, right? Second step is what? Transform. You completed what? Extract. Which one? Extract. Second step you need to do is what? Transform. Last step, load. We'll come back and we'll do. Now let's try to understand introduction to which software? Power Query. So first point, we know that if someone asks you what is Power Query, first you need to tell that Power Query is an ETL software. Power Query is an ETL software. ETL stands for extract, transform, load. Extract, transform, load. And the next step is, let me write the more elaborated definition for Power Query. See, in simple definition, you can tell this. If you want some more elaborated definition, I can write like this. Power Query can connect and extract the data, can connect and extract the data from where? Any kind of data source, any kind of data source. This Power Query can connect to Excel, connect to SQL Server, connect to Oracle. Not only these three, it can connect to hundreds of data sources, hundreds. It can connect to DB2. It can connect to MySQL. Any data source it can connect and it can extract the data. That's what I written first. Once and connect and extract the data from any kind of data source, what it will do? Transform the data as per report requirements. As per what? Report requirements. And last step, loads the data into PowerPoint and loads data into where? Into the PowerPoint. These are the work Power Query will do. Okay. Now, in order to do this work, do you want to write any code in the Power Query? My question is, okay, this is what it will do in Power Query. To do this, do you want to write any code in the Power Query? Means no. You can do it using what? GUI options. In Power Query, to do ETL, see, you bought 9 tables, right? To bring this 9 tables, have you written any one line of code? No, we don't written any code. We bought it with 2 clicks. Like this, we bought it using which option? New source. Not by writing the code, by using a GUI option called what? New source. To do the ETL in the Power Query, in Power Query, to do ETL, to do ETL, we no need to write the code. We can do it using GUI options. We can do it using what? GUI options, guys. We can do the ETL using GUI options. Now, what is the full form for GUI? Graphical user interface options. Graphical user interface options. See, if you see, Power Query contains lot of options. If you go here, split column is one GUI option. Group by is one GUI option. Use first choice address is one GUI option. Replace values is one GUI option. Data type is GUI option. Like this, lot of GUI options. Choose columns is a GUI option. Remove columns is a GUI option. Reduce rows is a GUI option. Sort is a GUI option. If you go to transform tab, there are a lot more geo options. When I go to add column tab, lot of geo options. Conditional column is one geo option. Duplicate column is one geo option. Index column is one geo option. Like this, Power Query contains lot of what? That geo options we will use it for what? Doing the ETL. We don't write what? Code. We don't write code. Please be unmute. Okay, guys. Now that's what I written here. But what I said on the day is behind every geo option, Microsoft already written the code. What you need to understand is so you can do the ETL with geo options, but it's not something magic happening in the back end. Behind every geo option, who written the code already? Microsoft written the code. Behind every geo option, behind every GUI option, Microsoft already written the code. Already written code. When we use the geo option, code will execute and provide the result. When we use a GUI option, code will execute and provide the result. What you need to understand here is developer is not writing the code. On behalf of developer is not writing the code. On behalf of developer, who written the code? Microsoft. Hmm? Behind every geo option, I said that we will have the code. That code was written using which language? Mash M language. In short, M and full form is what? Mashup language. So Power BI, this M language is similar to C language, C++ language, Java language. You have languages in the market, right? Along with that, there is a language called what? Mashup language. Do you want to go and learn mashup language? Not necessary. Power BI developer, does he need to learn a mashup language? No need. He need to learn only what? Geo options. Behind the geo options, already this code will be there. Already this code will be there, right? 99.9% we can do the ETL with what? Geo options. Exceptional case, you'll go and write 1 or 2 lines of code. I'll tell you in what scenarios we'll write the code, we will discuss. That is about the introduction to Power Query, guys. All this I clearly discussed in introduction classes also. Yes or no? Yes. Again, I discussed one more time. This is a basic idea about introduction to what? Power Query. Next one, we need to understand Power Query Editor user interface. Second point of today's class we will understand is Power Query Editor user interface. This one, this complete one name is, this we call it as Power Query Editor user interface. Which one? User interface, UI. So we are going to work in this UI for next 2 weeks. You will learn everything in this UI for the next 2 weeks. So as we are going to work in this UI for the next 2 weeks, better to understand this UI. Better to understand UI, user interface. Let's say when you want to stay for 1 week of time or 2 weeks of time in one place, you will know that where the grocery shop is there. So you will know where exactly which one is available, right? Same way, here also I'll explain in Power Query this complete UI. Now let's start here. This UI contains multiple sections. First, I'll start with queries pane. What is this first section name? Queries, and we call it as one pane. This is the first section I'll talk about. Second section we'll talk about is data pane. This is the second section. We call it as what? Data pane. We'll understand what is this data pane. Third section we'll talk about is ribbon. This one we call it as what? Power Query ribbon or ribbon. This is the third section I'll talk about. The fourth section I'll talk about is query settings pane. Which one? Query settings pane. So and the last section I'll talk about is formula bar. Which one? This one we call it as what? Formula bar. This is the fifth section. This UI is divided into how many parts? 5 parts. Let's try to understand these 5 parts one by one. So first one, I said that queries pane. Which one? Queries pane will contains list of tables we brought into the Power Query case. Queries pane Well, contains what means? It contains list of, just a second, just a second. It contains list of tables we bought into Power Query. We bought into where? Power Query. Um, so if you go and see in queries pane, how many list of tables are there now? 9. So all the tables using new source, you'll connect to data source. You'll bring the tables, right? All the tables you can see in where? Queries pane. So queries pane will contain list of tables we bought into Power Query. Okay, from different data sources. From where? Different data sources. You guys tell me. I bought 9 tables here, right? From how many data sources I bought these 9 tables? 3. Correct, guys. How many data sources? 3. So not 2, 3. When I go to view, in the ribbon, I'm going to where? View and clicking on what? Query dependencies. When I click on query dependencies, now you can see that 9 tables are coming from how many data sources? First data source is one sample superstore Excel. How many tables you got? Orders, peoples, returns. Then second data source is EMPD, EPT, Excel. How many tables? 3 tables. And then database. How many tables? 3 tables. How many data sources you connected? 3 data sources we connected, and we bought the tables. 3 data sources, from each data source 3 tables, totally 9 tables you bought. So uh, so you have all the 9 tables in the queries pane. Now what you need to do in these 9 tables is you need to transform the data. You need to do what? Transform the data. So if you want to transform the data, first you need to know report requirements. What you need to know? Report requirements. So how client want to see the data in the report, we need to know. If you don't know the report requirements, we cannot transform the data, right? Let's say in the source you have the country name as US. In the source you have country name like what? US. But in the report, client is expecting United States. Client is expecting to see like what? United States. Now data in the source system is in one format. Client is expecting what? Another format. What you need to do now? Transform. Where you will do that? Power Query. You need to bring the table to where? Power Query. In Power Query, you need to convert what? US to United States. Converting US to United States, we call it as what? Transform. So I said that second step in Power Query is, first step is extract the data from data source. Second step, data as per report requirements. Who will tell this report requirements? So without report requirements, you cannot transform the data. Report requirements will be provided by what? Clients or companies. Clients are companies. First, you need to know report requirements. So first, developer need to thoroughly understand what is the report requirements, and we need to check whether data is in the format or not. Let's take an example. In one of the report, client is asking to show customer full name. Which one? Customer full name. I want to see whether customer full name is there or not. In SQL Server, you have a customers table. Which table? Customers. In that customers table, do you have full name or not? We need to check it. Why we need to check it? Client is expecting here. Now you no need to go and check the data in SQL Server. You already connected to the SQL Server and you bought the table to where? Power Query. In Power Query itself, you can do what? Check data in Power Query. Where exactly in Power Query you can check the data is? So which table data you need to check? I said customer. Select which table? Customer. When you select the customers table, you will see the data here. The second section name is what? Data pane. Which one? Data pane. In the data pane, which table data you are seeing now? Customers. Second section we have is, second section we need to understand is data pane. Before we need to transform the data, we need to check the data. We need to check the data. Data pane will show selected table data. Data pane will show selected table data. Whether it is in the proper format or not, you can check it there. So this will help us to check whether data is in the proper format or not. This data pane will help us to check whether data is in the proper format or not. Check whether data is in required format or not. So what is the data you are planning to check now? You select customer name, you are able to see it. You want to check in the customers table whether we have customer full name or not. What we need to check? Whether customer full name is available or not. So when I go scroll towards right and I check it, you have first name, you have middle name, you have last name. When I check here, nowhere I find what? Full name. Nowhere I find full name. So now what we understand is in SQL Server you have a customers table. In customers table you have first name, you have middle name, and you have what? Last name. But client is expected to see what? Full name. Now what is required? Transformation. You need to bring the customers table to where? Power Query. In Power Query, we need to combine what? First name, middle name, last name together to what? Full name. Yes or no? Yes. Combining these three columns into one column is a transformation or not? Yes. Transform means converting the data from one format to another format. What is the definition for transform? Converting the data from where? One format to another format. Converting the data from one format to another format to another format we call as which one? Transform. We call it as transform, guys. Okay, perfect. Okay, we understand data pane. Data pane also call it as results pane. Sometimes people will call this data pane as what? Why they call it as results pane is, you guys tell me, to combine the first name, middle name, last name to full name, what we do in introduction class I explained. Hold the control button, select which column, first name, then select which column, middle name, last name. Tell me, to combine first name, middle name, last name to full name, do you want to write any code? No. You want to do it using what? Geo option. We need to find out what is the geo option which will help us to combine this. So in the add column, there is something called what? Merge columns. Merge columns is the geo option which can combine these three columns into what? One column. When I click on merge columns, we know that it is asking a separator. What is the separator you want between first name and middle name and last name? Space. And it will create what? New column. What is the new column name? Customer full name. When I go and press OK, we know that it will add a third step here. What it will add? Third step. That third step will, under the third step, Microsoft will write some code. That code will give what? Result. That code will give result. When I go and press OK, does it add to the third step? When I go and select the third step, does you see some code? This is the code which is in the backend. I said that behind every geo option will have what? Code. This is the code you have behind here. When you use this option, this code will return. That code will give this result, guys. What is the result it given? Customer full name. Where you are seeing the results? In the same data pane, right? As you are seeing the results in the same data pane, I can call this as what? Results pane also. You can call it as either data pane or results pane. That is the second section, guys. So we got some idea why you have this particular area. So why you have this data pane is, this data pane is available here to check whether the data is in the proper format or not. To check whether data is in the proper format. And not only that, when you do any transformations, you'll get the result also there. You can check it. Okay. Now you have what? First name. You have what? Middle name. You have what? Last name. Fine, guys. That is about data pane. The third section I want to talk about is ribbon. The most important one here is the ribbon, guys. So you will spend a lot of time learning the options in this ribbon. So in Power Query, you have geo options, right? That geo options are available in this ribbon. In this ribbon. So write that third section. Third section name is ribbon, or sometimes you can call it as Power Query ribbon also. Power Query. If you want to be more specific, it's a Power Query ribbon. Mm. Power ribbon will contains multiple tabs, guys. What a ribbon will contains is tabs. If you go here, terminology is important. We call it as home tab, transform tab, add column tab, view tab, tools tab, help tab. Totally how many tabs are there? 6 tabs are there. Ribbon will contains tabs, and each tab will contains groups. Each tab will contains what? Groups. See, now I am in which tab? Add column. What is the first group name is? General. Second group name? From text. Third group name is from number. Fourth group name is from date and time. Last group name is AI Insights. AI Insights. So each tab will contains groups. Each group will contains geo options. Each group contains what? Geo option. Custom column is what? Geo option. Invoke custom function is what? Geo option. Conditional column is what? Geo option. Right that. So what we are trying to tell is ribbon will contains what? Ribbon will contains tabs, and tab will contains what? Groups, and group will contains what? Group will contains GUI options. We use the GUI options to do what? ETL. So when I said that go to add column tab, so when I'm explaining, I said that go to add column tab. Add column tab means I'm asking to go here, and I said that go to from text. Go to from text group. From text group. From text group means I'm talking about this. In that use a GUI option called merge columns. Like this, I'll tell when I'm explaining the navigation. I'll tell that go to where? Add column tab, and then go to which group? From text group. Use a GUI option called what? Merge columns. Okay, we got an idea what this ribbon and what is the navigation. We'll learn. As I said, this is the place we will spend most of the time. And the fourth section we have is the fourth section we have here is query settings pane. So far you understand this queries pane, data pane, and then what? Ribbon. What is the next one we need to understand? Query settings pane. What is this query settings pane? This is query settings pane. We'll understand. Query settings pane. What is this query settings pane is? Query settings pane have two sections. One section name is properties. Second section name is applied steps. In query settings, you have two sections are there. One is what? Second one is what? Applied steps. I'll try to understand. I'll discuss about these properties in the later classes. Where we will discuss? Later classes I'll discuss these properties. What properties about? Now I'll talk about what? Applied steps. You notice here, I'm going to, I'll just look at this customer data table. In customer data table, you do one extra step to derive what? Customer full name, right? I'll go and delete this step. After sales data column, after sales data column, after sales data column, you have customer full name which you derived using this third step. Now when I delete this third step, just notice here, when I delete the third step, do you have that step here? No, that column is not there. Fine, guys. Now applied steps is there, right? When I go and select the orders table, how many steps you have? Source, navigation, promoted header, change type. So what is this applied steps is? Applied steps will contains list of ETL activities we performed on the selected table. Applied steps, what it contains? Applied steps contains what? Contains list of ETL activities we perform on where? Selected table. So if you go and select which table here? Orders. You are seeing applied steps. How many steps you are seeing? 4 steps, right? So we are telling that these are ETL steps that was performed on the orders table. You tell me, I bought the orders table from Excel and I don't even perform single step also so far. Have you performed any step so far? No. You have not performed single step so far. But you are seeing how many steps here? 4 steps. They get by default. They get by what? Default. There are some default steps. Even when I go to EMP table, I bought this EMP table from which source? Excel again. Am I done any transformation so far in EMP table? No, not yet. But how many steps you are seeing? 4. That steps are what? Default. You bought this products table from which source? SQL. How many steps you are seeing now? 2. They are what steps? Default. From now, for every transformation you are doing here, one step will add. So every transformation you will do, one extra step will add. That's what here. Applied steps will contain what? List of ETL activities we performed on what? Selected table. Hmm? So you'll have some default steps. You'll have what? I'll talk about these default steps. What we noticed is these default steps are not common for every table. If you notice here, for every table, the default steps are same or different. In orders table, how many default steps are there? 4. But in customers table, you have only what? 2. So when you go to people's table, only you have what? 3, right? We'll try to understand the default. Some tables default steps, how many steps are there? 4. Some tables 3. Some tables 2. Why there is a difference? What is the default steps? Let's quickly understand, guys. Go to orders table. In orders table, first I'll tell you what is this default steps, why they are coming. The first default step is what? Source. So where you can understand this orders table is coming from which source? Orders table is coming from just let's say you enter the class just now. When you enter the class just now, here can you understand anything which table is coming from which source? No, every table is looking same. There is no difference. This table is coming from Excel. This table is coming from SQL Server. Nowhere it is writing. Everything is looking same. But how can you understand this table is coming from which sources? You need to go to where? Source. When I go to the source, I can understand here the table is coming from where? Excel workbook, Excel file. And that Excel file is there in this path. This is the path. And what is the Excel file name is sample superstore Excel. Which Excel? So in the source step, you can see the table is coming from which source, whether it is coming from Excel, whether it is coming from SQL Server, or whether it is coming from Oracle, you can see it. Right? That is the source step. And show that this is coming from this particular path, right? Copy this path and go to the Object Explorer. Once you go to the Object Explorer, go and paste that path here and hit enter. When I hit enter, I'm going to that path, guys. This is the path from where you bought that Excel. In this path, which Excel? Sample Superstore Excel. Now, if you go to this path, there is an Excel file called what? This is the Excel you used. Yes or no? When I open this Excel here, the Excel contains sheets or tables. We call it as, we call this orders, returns, peoples. We call it as what? Sheets, or you can even call it as what? Tables. How many tables are there? That Excel file contains 3 tables. I want to understand out of the 3 tables, this table is having which table data? That you can understand in where? What is the second step? Navigation. When I go to the navigation, try to see here, this table is getting from which sheet? Orders sheet. Out of these 3 sheets, the first table, what I am looking at there, it is coming from which sheet? Order sheet. That is the second step. What is the third step is, if you see now, do you have proper column headers here? Column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5. You don't have proper column names. This row ID, order ID, order date, ship mode, or headers, or what? Headers. So what it is doing in the third step is promoting headers. Promoting headers means it is moving the first row to where? Header. First row to header. So nowadays tools have AI. Nowadays softwares have what? AI, inbuilt AI, inbuilt AI. That AI will do lot of work automatically. Here, the Power Query also have AI. That AI detected that first row is not data, first row is what? Header. And it moved first row to where? Header. How it detected first row is header, I'll tell you. How this AI will work and detected this first row is header is, only for the first row you have what data here? Only for the first row you have what data? Text. Remaining all the rows? Numbers. Only for the first row you have what here? Text. Remaining all the rows you have date. All the rows you have what? Date. So in the backend AI, what it will do is, if only first row if you have text, remaining all the rows if you have other data, it will treat like what? Header, and it will move it to what? Header. That is what? Third step. Promoted header. When I go to promoted header, are you getting the proper header now? Yes, guys. That is third step. We are trying to understand what is each default step, why you got it. Now, when you go to each column, what is the data type you have for order date? When I select order date column, what is the data type? Any. Generally, it is not supposed to be any. It should be what? Date. If you go to row ID, what is the data type? Any. It is not now supposed to any. It should be what? Whole number. It should be what? Whole number. When I go to customer name, what is the data type? Any. It is not supposed to be what? Any. It should be what? Text. So I said that tool have AI, right? Again, this AI doing the fourth step. What is the fourth step? Change type. It will change the data type. Instead of having any, it will give the data type to what? Text. That you developer no need to do. Automatically Power BI will do. When I go to the fourth step, for customer name, what is the data type you got? Text. Who is changing it? Developer or tool? Tool. How tool is changing it? AI. AI. So AI means what artificial intelligence means? Similar to, it will work similar to human brains. So AI means, now AI, however we think, the same way AI will think. Okay, that's what AI means. Now you go here, row ID, what is this? Whole number. We got the proper data type or not? Who changed it? Previously it is not whole number, it is what? Any. For order date, previously it is any, now date. This is the fourth one. These are the four steps mostly you will see when you bring the tables. You got what is this four steps or not? For EMP table also, same four steps you can see. When I go to EMP table, what is the first step? I want to understand EMP table is coming from which source? Which source? Excel. This is the path and this is the file name. That Excel file will have a lot of tables. Which table data it is or which sheet data it is. Where you can see that is in where? Navigation. When I go to the navigation, in the navigation, it is which sheet, which table data, where which sheet data? EMP sheet data. Now, do you have proper column headers? No. In third step, what it is doing? Promoted to the headers. The first row is what? Not data, it is header. How it knows first row is header? First row is text. Remaining rows is numbers. First row is text. Remaining rows is date. It understands first row is header or not? You need to move this first row to where? Header. What? Where it is doing? When it promoted to the header, employee number have what data type? Any. High date have what data type? Any. What it is doing in the fourth step? Change data type. When you change the data type, high date got what data type? Date. Employee number got what data type? Whole number. Are you getting the proper data types? These are the four default steps you will get. Okay, guys. Now, when I go to people's table is also getting from Excel only. But how many ETL steps you are seeing? 3. Which step is missing? Promoted headers is missing. So source is available. Navigation. After navigation, generally it need to do what? Promoted to header, right? Promoted to header is missing. And then you need to have what? Change type. Now, try to understand here. Try to understand here why promoted headers is missing. First step is people's table is coming from which source? Excel. Which Excel file? Sample superstore Excel file. Second step is what? Navigation. In that Excel, which sheet data it is? Which sheet data it is? People's. What it need to do in the third step? Promoted header it need to do. Why it is not doing promoted header now? Tell me. Huh? Headers is there. Person, region, and image is header. Why it is not
There is no
promoting?
numbers column.
Huh?
There is no numbers column.
Everything is text. Here, first row is text, remaining rows is text. First row is text, remaining rows is text. First row is text. There is no scope. That is the problem with AI. AI will work, but there are some limitations. So here, every row, uh, if at least you have one column, first row is text, remaining rows are what? Numbers. First row is text, remaining rows are what? Some other data type. Then it will treat this first row as what? Header. At least one column you need to have. But there is no at least one column also. That is the reason it is not promoting to the header. Now what you need to do is remove the change type step. And now developer need to move first row to where? Header. How to move the first row to header? Home tab. Use first row as header. There is a GUI option which can do. When I click on use first row as header, every time when you promote it to the header, it will do one extra step. What is the extra step? Change type. Every time you do promoted header, automatically it will do one extra step called what? Change type. Change type means data type. Now, in the fourth step, it will read the data and it will change the data type. Power BI will read the data and change the data type. Read the data and change the data type. Yes or no? That is change type case. Right. So now you got people's table proper data or not? But when I go to returns table also, you don't have proper column headers. Again, how many steps are there? 3. Which one is missing again? Promoted header. Same story again. Returns table is coming from Excel sample superstore. Navigation. It is from returns sheet. Now what you need to do in the third step? Promoted to the header. I said that you can remove the change type. Why? Because every time when you promote to the header, again it will do what? Change type. So again as it do, you remove this. Now you need to move this first row to where? Header. How to move the first row to header? Go to home tab. Use first as header. Every time you promote it to the header, it will do what? Change type. Right? Okay, guys. Now we have 4 steps. That's fine. DEPT table also have 4 steps. Table is looking good. Manager table also have 4 steps. Table is looking good. But when I go to customers table, how many steps are there? Source, navigation. What 2 steps are missing here? Promoted headers are missing. Change type is missing. Why? You got this customers table from which source? SQL. See, generally, when you bring the table from Excel, Excel will not have proper format data. You don't have proper header, you don't have proper data. But if you bring the tables from the database tables will have what? Proper header, proper data. When you bring the table, header will come to header, data will come to data. You don't need to specifically do it. But in the Excel, everything is looking like data only. That is the reason you need to promote it to the header and do it. So you don't need to do with what? Databases. Okay. So we understand database tables will have proper header. That header will come automatically to header. You don't need to promote it to the header one more time. And what about data type? Why data type is missing? Change type is there, right? Fourth step. Why change type is missing? Why change type is missing? Someone tell me, guys. Why change type is missing? Why change type is missing is, hmm? Huh?
Database है proper.
Yes, in
Database है
database,
proper.
tables will have columns. While creating the tables, tell me the syntax to create the table. Syntax to create the table is create table, table name, and column 1 data type. Column 1 data type. Then column 2 data type. Data type. Then column 3 data type. Without giving the data types, can I go and create a table? No, not possible. So every table, every column will have what? Data type. Already in database, you will have data type. When you bring the table to Power Query, the data type will come automatically. That is the reason you don't need to separately change what? Data types. Separately change the data types. Okay, got the point? right? That is the reason you have only two steps. Now tell me, products table can have how many default steps? Two or four? Two. How many steps? Two. As it is coming from database. Sales data table? Two. Okay, that is about applied steps, guys. We'll understand more about them in the coming classes. For now, we understand applied steps contains what? List of ETL activities you performed on the. I said that when you perform any step now, let's say in the product data table, I'll convert the product name to uppercase. I'll convert to product name to uppercase. Will it add a new step or not? Yes. Select the product name, go to transform tab, format, click on what? Uppercase. We know that it added one new step or not. And that step returns some M language code or not. That M language code will give the result or not. What is the M language code it return? Text dot upper. It passed the column name called what? English product name. This text dot upper is which language function? M language function. That M language function will convert the product name to what? Uppercase. Convert the product name to uppercase. Right. Now, better when you do one step, what is the step name you got? What is the step name you got? Uppercase the text. So better to rename the step and give a proper name. Okay, you uppercase the text. Which text? Product name. Right click on this step. Click on what? Rename. Uppercased. Which one? Product name. You can rename it. What is the advantage of renaming it is, after few days when you come and check here, you can easily understand what you do in the third step. Like this in the real time, we'll do 20-30 steps also. After doing 20-30 steps also, when you give a proper name to each step, you'll get some understanding, right? Okay, that is about. So we got some idea about applied steps, guys. And the last one in this ribbon is in this Power Core Editor user interface is formula bar. Which one? Formula bar. We call this area name as what? What is the name of this area? Formula bar. What is the name of that area? Formula bar. Formula bar. Formula bar will show selected step M language code. Formula bar will show selected step M language code. Which one? M language code. If you go and select uppercase this step related M language code, you can see. Yes or no? So when I go and select change data type, when I go and select what? Change data type, you are seeing a lot of M language code. This M language code is the backend working and changing the data type, right? Now, okay, guys. Now I'll go to customer data table. I'll derive customer full name. Select first name, middle name, last name. Go to where? Add column. Click on what? Merge columns. What is the separator? Space. What is the new column name? Customer full name. And just okay. When I press OK, it added a new step, right? And it returned what? M language code, right? What is the M language function? Text.combine is a M language function. To that function, they pass what? First name, middle name, last name. And they pass a separator called what? Space. Huh? This code is giving which one here? Customer full name. What is the one you need to do now? What is the default column name you are getting? Inserted merged column. Instead of that, rename this and give a meaningful step name. Merged columns to get which one? Customer full name. You give any name you like. Right click, rename, whatever the name, no matter, just for understanding purpose. What you do in this step. When I look at this step, I can understand. Here I derived what? Customer full name. I derived customer full name. You guys tell me, is it possible to modify this M language code in the formula bar? Is it possible to modify the M language code means? Yes. When you modify this M language code, will the results change or remain same? Change. I'll just go here. Instead of space, I'm giving comma. What I'm giving here? Comma. When I go and give comma, hit enter, what you are getting in the output? Comma, right? This code is working in the backend to get this result or not? That's what I said. When you use the GUI options, code will result, code will return, and code will give what? Result. If you would like, you can modify. Now instead of comma, I want space again. When I give space, are you getting the space here? Yes, you can modify. You can modify. That's about what? Formula bar. Formula bar will show what? Selected step, M language, code. That is the fifth section. The sixth section we have is I explain uh, something called, uh, you can see in the formula bar only one step M language code. How many steps? Sometimes you will have 20 steps. If you want to see 20 steps M language code, you need to go to 20 steps separately. It take lot of time. If you want to see all the steps M language code in single place, let's go to orders table. In the orders table, convert the customer name to uppercase. Select the customer name, go to transform, format, click on what? Uppercase. And you have a order date column. From the order date column, derive the year. Derive what? Year. Select the order date, go to add column, go to date, click on what? Year. It added one step or not? Every transformation you are doing, it is writing a new step or not? If you have 20 steps, you want to see all the code in single place. How can we see all the 20 steps code in single places? You need to go to home tab. There is something called advanced editor. Which one? Advanced editor. When I click on the advanced editor will show all the steps M language code. Show what? So formula bar will show what? One step. If you want to see all steps, advanced editor. Click on advanced editor. When I go here, first step is source, second step is navigation, third step is promoted header, fourth step is change type, fifth step is uppercase the step, sixth step is inserted here. So even if you have 20 steps, you will see all the codes or not. Can we edit the code here also? Yes, we can edit multiple steps code and click on what? Done. So you can do it. Mm. So that is about what is the next one we discussed? Advanced editor. What you can see in the advanced editor? What you can see? Advanced editor will show all the steps M language code. All the steps M language code for a selected table. For a selected table. For any table you selected, you will see it. Fine guys. This is about advanced editor. Fine. The last one we will discuss here is query dependencies. I talk about what? Query dependencies. Now, total how many tables are there? 9 tables. At once, if you go to each table, if you go to the source, you will understand only this table is coming from what? Which source? I want to understand all the 9 tables are coming from which source in single place. Where you can see? Query dependencies. When I go to query dependencies, here I can see all the 9 tables are coming from which source? Yes or not? Yes. The next one we understand in this UI today is query dependencies. Which one? Query dependencies will show all the tables will show what? All the tables source data source information. All tables data source information. All tables data source information, guys. All tables what? Data source information. Yes or no? Yes. That is about query dependencies. Fine, guys. So let us stop here for today. We don't have much time to start other topics. In tomorrow's class, I'll be discussing about, we are done with what? Power Query Editor User Interface. We clearly understand what this UI is having. Now, you people need to have an idea. So what, when I said that go to ribbon, you need to get an idea. I'm asking to go here. When I said that go to query settings pane, you need to get an idea. When I said that go to queries pane, this one. When I said that go to data pane, this one. When I said that go to formula bar, this one, right? If you know the UI, for me it is easy to explain the things, right? From tomorrow we'll start. Today I just almost it is like introduction only today also, but not everything is introduction. Important class. This user interface things are important. Terminology is important. Right? Let us stop here. We'll continue from here in tomorrow's class, guys. Anybody have any questions?